Somme Association purchased Thiepval wood with the assistance of the Northern Ireland Government, and in particular the Department of Culture, Arts and Leisure. The wood was purchased about 3 years ago with a very generous donation. It had always been the ambition of the Somme Association to own the wood, ever since the association had taken over at the tower and was running the tower and the visitor centre. In terms of what's happening in the wood, the aim is really to make it more visitor friendly and try to explain what's going on and try to explain what happened to the Ulster Division in particular. But we want to look at other units that were in the wood, including the Germans and the French, and give it a wider perspective than people would normally have.
We came out in October of 2004 for the first time with a group of about 15 or 20 of our no man's land archaeologists, but also with a similar number of guys from Northern Ireland from the Somme Association.
And we've got a community archaeology project. Now, usually community archaeology happens in your own village, and this one's slightly unusual because it's being done a long way from where these people live, but in a very real sense this is part of the community that they come from.
Looking at the edge on here, these are very similar to the rims on the circular drum which fits on top of the Lewis gun.
And it has an aluminium alloy centre part, which is what all this blue powder is, because it just corrodes away to this horrible bright blue stuff. That's for the rounds, isn't it?
It is, it's going to be. Yeah. That's good, you can actually get the ridges there as well. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Expose the rounds as much as we can.
Yeah, these ones are coming out quite nicely here. So.
Magazine containing 47 rounds. We'll go to the top pan here. Click straight on, and then using the cocking handle, take to the rear against this spring. The breech was opened, cocking handle is shut, and a round is fed from the magazine into the chamber.
You never fire all 47 in a burst, because the Germans count them out. Once you've heard it a couple of times, you can tell there's a whole drum gone off, and then that's when they rush you, you see.
Yeah, the bottom one's damaged, but the top one is virtually, well, there's a few rounds missing where they've dropped out, but they're virtually intact. You never fire a machine gun in full burst. It's always in short 3 or 4 round bursts. The natural momentum of the weapon as you fire it. So by the time you fired 47, instead of being aiming there, you're aiming up there somewhere.
Right, be careful, there's going to be more rounds in there, look.
Great. It's a Lewis gun drum. Yeah.
In Martin's Trench, the first find comes to light, something every soldier would have carried.
So, D-shaped mess tin, still with its wire handle, missing its lid, which there's the catch on there. Really nice.
The first find in Alex's Trench was just below the surface.
They just came out from where the guys are working down there. It's shoulder flash with RIR, which is the Royal Irish Rifles.
The Ulster Tower is here because the 36th Division were here. Well, a number of Royal Irish Rifles battalions form the 36th Division. That is both kind of proof positive of our Ulstermen, isn't it?
They are here.
They are here.
At some point.
And unfortunately, to lose their shoulder titles, they're also not just living here, they're dying here as well. You can see how it's actually attached. What you do, the lettering has these little loops on the back of it, and it pokes through the cloth, and then you put this brass plate and the split pin in behind to hold the whole thing on, and just the lettering shows on the outside.
The German front line runs from Thiepval village along just below the crest of the ridge, round to about where Mill Road Cemetery is today, and then to the Ulster Tower. It has an extremely good field of fire across the ground that we're standing on at the moment.
I just try to work out which Royal Irish Battalion potentially was. And on the 1st of July you have 14th Battalion of Royal House Rifles who are in this part of the wood attacking that way. They're in the second wave on 1st of July. But on the other hand, the Ulster Division's in here for 2 months in February and March of 16, so quite possible that it comes from earlier rather than from 1st of July. There's always a possibility it is personnel or something, which would be nice. We'll never know. But. Sorry? West Division still not.
Is it safe street?
It's a bit rough.
Not really.
Really beach still in it.
Oh, that's bad. No.
Go on.
No.
Every artefact has to be recorded, but the team are not just looking for finds. To tell the whole story, everything is recorded. The wood surveyed and the layout of the trench systems carefully mapped to be compared with the historical record.
Yes, West Yorks, yeah. It could be 1st, 5th, 6th, 7th or 8th West Yorks of 146th West Riding Brigade, 49th Division. And they were here from 5th of July to at least the 30th of September and possibly later in 1916.
Several broken pieces of a rum jar were found in Martin's Trench. Rum was issued to the troops as part of their daily rations, a practice to which some teetotal officers objected.
Yeah, primarily they have rum, but occasionally lime juice.
Lime juice?
Picture the scene. Great lads wearing rum rations and all lining up there thinking here we go, and it's this sort of rather watery green liquid. It's like, no, that's not where it's...
Alex Trench begins to reveal its story.
What we're looking at here is we have a trench, frontline trench running across with the front looking out to the Germans that way. And what caused a lot of confusion yesterday when we dug the wrong side of it was it looks like a large shell hole. The reason we think this is because we've got this circular edge runs all the way around here and is going straight into natural chalk, solid natural chalk. So the shell's possibly come in with quite a high angle and buried itself in the ground before blowing up, probably delayed fuse shell because it's such a large shell hole, otherwise it'd be impacted on the surface more. And what that's done has it's collapsed this side of the trench. So it seems that whoever was in here have repaired it by banging these stakes in.
What we've got at the moment, over there where Sylvia and Amanda are working, appears to be the original brown topsoil, and that's been buried beneath this chalk bank that's been thrown up when they've dug the communication trench. But what's quite interesting, we're actually getting in situ French rounds which have been fired, pushed into the surface of the original topsoil. So that's quite nice. There's obviously evidence of fighting going on here before the trench system has gone in, probably back in 1914 or early 1915. So that's quite nice. Bank of the communication trench, and it was absolutely full of tin cans, corned beef cans and everything, including we even got some hardtack biscuits which have been charred out of it. We dug the bit that was within the trench, and then when we left, of course, the treasure hunters come in and they've just completely dug out the whole lot, and they've gone under the section in both ways and completely trashed it.
Find out which end you've got. It could be the base plug of a grenade.
I'm the EOD, or Explosive Ordnance Disposal Officer, who covers the site for the safety aspect. We find an awful lot of items on the site. Sometimes it's one item, sometimes it's many. All of the items around the battlefields of France and Belgium are very, very dangerous.
Okay, everybody out with a grenade. Yeah.
They're all 90 years old or more and have been lying around since then. Explosives and ammunition is not like wine. It doesn't get better with age. It deteriorates, it becomes unstable, and even though it may look safe or appear safe, it isn't. nobody, but nobody should ever touch any item of ammunition or any item that they don't recognise or understand on any of the battlefields over here. It's a battery just come out of our area. The terminal's still attached. We've got a lot of phone wire down there as well, so whether it's attached to something to do with the phone, I don't know, but it's rather nice and lovely condition.
It is odd, there's very little evidence of German occupation. They were here in this wood for about 5 months, but nobody's found anything relating to them at all.
This has literally come out in the past couple of minutes. It's an iodine ampule. As you can see, remarkably still intact, still full, still with liquid in it. And this is medical kit. It's the sort of thing. It's wrapped in the shell dressing. Every soldier inside his tunic pocket's got a dressing with one of those in the middle of it, and the dressing's torn open. They're meant to break the end of that off and sprinkle iodine around the wound, and then clamp the dressing on and tie it on. There are quite a lot of accounts of medical officers complaining that people haven't actually got the hang of this and that they're squirting the iodine into the wound, which must have really hurt. But this is lovely, you know, 90 years on, still intact, still in good working order, pretty much, and you know, coming out from about halfway down the trench, so it's gone in as backfill, probably.
School groups visiting the Ulster Tower had the added bonus of watching the archaeologists at work.
July 1915, the British take over. Initially the 51st Highland Division, 32nd Division, and then of course it's famously known for the 36th Ulster Division, who attacked across these fields on the 1st of July 1916. They were replaced by the 49th Division. After the village of Thiepval fell and the Schwaben Redoubt was captured in the end of September-October 1916, it was then used for troops resting behind the lines. It wasn't all a beautiful wood then. On the 1st of July 1916, the Germans shelled it intensively. German machine guns from Thiepval were able to fire into the wood. There were hardly any trees left at all. It really was a hellish place. After the British had taken Thiepval, the Germans eventually withdrew in February 1917 to a line of fortifications, but they attacked again in 1918 in March, and they retook the wood. They occupied the wood from March to August 1918, when the British retook the wood again. So there's quite a number of distinct occupations here. So it's quite difficult unravelling a lot of this, given that it's a very short time frame looking at, which is unusual for archaeology. We learn all the time the different features, often the different things that we dig out of the ground that we can identify. But they range from cartridge cases to the remains of men. And we have in some cases been able to identify soldiers so that they can be given an honourable burial and have their names on the crosses. You see these men in the graveyard here. They're still being found 90 years later, and we can still identify them, which is very important for their families and for them, I suppose.
A cap badge is uncovered in Martin's Trench.
The Sherwood Foresters. Here we go, 117 Brigade. Is Sherwood Foresters.
Excellent. Oh, with the Royal Sussexes.
And 11th Royal Sussex. That's October, November time.
Oh, right.
In Alex Trench, an item which reveals some detail of how soldiers overcame the most common obstacle in no man's land.
It sits on the end of your rifle like that. When you come to your wire, what you do is you push it on like that, and then you push, and as you push this thing rotates, and the action of rotating it, there's a little cam in there, it closes the jaws and it cuts the wire.
But what's interesting that's come up is the collapsed mouth of this dugout. So what we're going to do is take a block out here, drop the top cover to create a safe working area, and then drop down into the fill of the entrance.
Have you void, yeah?
Okay, right.
It's the first layer.
Right, yes.
And underneath you'll find voids like that there.
Yeah. Well, there's no sandbagging left because that's all rotted away. I mean, it's only jute. But what you do get are imprints of it rotted into concretions of soil, and this is on one of the big natural flint nodules that you get in bands in the chalk, and you can see the very loose weave here and here, remnants of the sandbags.
Alex Trench is developing into a puzzle.
So I mean, potentially this could be
that could be going over that direction.
Now, so far, as you can see, we have this nice line of trench. It was going great guns until we got here, and there seems to be a lot of rock shattered around here, which is indicative of explosions. And the trench just seems to stop. I mean, I don't know if it's going this way, or if it is just a dead end here that's been blocked up because of shell fire. We've got evidence possibly shell fire with this being bent completely out of shape, which could have blocked off any way that this trench is going.
We've just got to the bottom now. What looks like we've got is actually a step. So it looks like they've actually stepped the trench as they come up the slope. I start to think we're actually going to have to go down a lot deeper, but it's only another sort of like 6 inches down. We've got a lower step, so that's looking nice and neat.
Yeah, do you want to follow them?
Ready for the photographs.
As well as taking photographs, exact measurements are taken and the section is drawn to scale.
Really, isn't it?
What is that bit then?
Sling,
Is
that's
that
a
any
sling
of it?
swivel. Sling swivel. That sits underneath the butt, and the sling attaches to it. But what we've got here is the back end of a SMLE, a British rifle. The wood has mostly disappeared. You can see fragments of wood here, and fragments of wood here, but we've essentially just got the metal bits. That there is the butt plate, brass butt plate, which would normally go into your shoulder when you're firing it. And there's a little door in there, and the rifle would come along like that, and the trigger assembly would have been back here, and the bullets go that way. And this is all the things that fit inside the butt. There's a little hatch in the bottom there, and there's a long tube up inside, and in that is the oil bottle, which is used for oiling the rifle. You unscrew it, it's got a little spoon in there for dabbing the oil in it, it's actually still got oil in it. Again, brass. And behind that is brass weight, tubular brass weight, and this clump here is a ball of string which would normally attach to that weight. And what that is the cleaning pull through. You don't have a rod as such. What you do is you open the breech, drop that weight down the barrel, it falls out the other end, it takes the string all the way down through it, and then you get a bit of what they call 4x2 cleaning cloth, put some of that oil on it, and there's a little loop in the end of the string, and you put a square of cloth through it, and then you reach around the other end, you grab the weight and pull it, and it pulls the string and the cloth all the way down the barrel, and that's how you clean the weapon. These other bits and pieces, this is the swivel for the carrying sling, that would have screwed into the base of the butt somewhere about there, and this item here is a little brass disc which sits on the side of the butt plate of the butt of the weapon, which is quite important because it's the identity of the weapon, the number or the person it's issued to is quite often stamped on here. So hopefully we can have this cleaned a bit and see whether there's any markings on it. Unfortunately the markings are often quite cryptic because all it carries sometimes is a 3-figure number, which is the number of the rifle within the regiment, and the only note of that would have been kept on, you know, in the RSM's pocketbook or something, so it's not always information you can retrieve. But we'll get it cleaned anyway because it might have regimental markings on it. But what it suggests is there's an entire rifle in there somewhere, and the wood's simply mostly decayed away and we're left with the metal components. So if we keep going we might well find what's called the receiver, which is the trigger bolt assembly, and potentially even the barrel carrying on in that direction.
Okay, well, state of play here is that we're getting towards the bottom. We've got all the cabling and an awful lot of it for the telephones, which is good. It's also absolutely what we'd expect being this close to headquarters dugout, and that's running along that face of the trench. We've also cut down to reveal the top of the collapsed in door to the dugout, so we're going to empty some of that, and we're coming down onto the bottom of the trench. I think that's the bottom. It was very wide, very chalky, and it's got features in it.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Now what you've got is two matching features here.
Yeah.
So I think you've got some sort of frame. It's a fascinating bit of trench, given the amount of stuff that's in it, because absolutely standard chalk cut sides, nice flat chalky bottom, but with the step in it and then the deep hole, and then in the deep hole in each corner of it you've got 4 smaller post holes. And what's going on in there is you've got a sump for drainage purposes cut into the floor of the trench to collect surface water and whatever that's running down the trench. Now, to make that safe for troops passing up and down, that would have had a trench board stuck on top of it, and 4 post holes are there to hold the trench board in place. But there's a really nice extra addition here where they've just sunk about 4 inches step down into which the trench board fitted, so that as you're passing along here in the dark, you're not bumping your feet against it, knocking it over, tripping over it, knocking it into the hole and actually rendering it pointless. So that's great. What you've also got in there is the trench running that way, which is the entrance to the dugout, and that's got a step coming up off the trench, and that's absolutely standard practice. Again, it's done to stop water running down the steps into the dugout. This hole's been fantastic. It's produced some really nice bits and pieces in terms of the cap badges, all the food residues, and the iodine ampule. But on top of that, actually the whole trench architecture in here is brilliant. The whole way you can see how it's constructed, the amount of care they've put into this. And this is no mean feat, this isn't an afternoon's work. This has got to be battered through hard chalk. I mean, chalk you can use to build with. It's that sort of level of stuff. They've really had to pick and shovel through this, and it's the sort of work that we as a 21st century society are not used to. Some of them were, because they worked in mines, and the land was much less industrial than it is today, but even so, a lot of the guys out here coming digging these trenches worked on tramways, or they were bank clerks and that kind of thing, so it would have come as a hell of a shock to them. So yeah, fantastic. It's all credit to them, and it's a really, really nice piece of trench to be able to study.
As a week in general, I think we've done really well. We've had some nice finds, sort of the obvious things, the cap badges and bits and pieces, but also some nice sort of slightly more unusual things. And the Martin's trench, I think, is particularly interesting with the sump and the dugout entrance and everything. I think that's really nice. And people seem to have had a good time, which is the other point of the whole exercise. So I'm well pleased. Roll on April, I say. We'll come back and do some more. Well, the plan for this week is we're going to not do too much more digging in here because this trench is essentially finished, but reinstate all the sandbagging and the chicken wire revetting and all that kind of thing, which serves 2 jobs. Firstly, it'll stop the thing falling down, but also it'll help to make it look as it did in 1960.
That's called the stock with the sandbag. Okay, you've got the stock and the seam. So what you do, if you fold the stock down and it folds underneath, and once you get to here, you will put the sandbag in. Then you get and the next one goes on there, and then the next one goes across the 2.
Meanwhile, in Alex's trench, the supposed shell hole could possibly be something totally different.
What we're trying to do is recreate the side of the trench here.
Oh, yeah.
This was blown away by a shell.
Yeah.
We know that. So what we're trying to do is continue the trench along there, which is where it should go. What we're doing is nothing that wouldn't have been done anyway. This
exactly.
is part of the trench has been blown away. If this shell gets hit during the night or during the day, at night they would be here doing exactly what we're doing, repairing it. It's no different to what was done then. And in theory, the techniques we're using are exactly the same as they are, because they've only got the same things we've got: timber and sandbags.
Well, Matt was firtling about just down in there. We're only just a couple of inches below the surface, and pulled out a shiny thing. And what it actually is a travelling shaving brush. You can see in there you've got the bristle, and that was formerly on the end. That's the lid. Right. And then what I think you do is you take that part off, and then the brush comes out, and you stick it in the other end, and then use it, and then you just reverse it, pop it back inside, put the lid on. I think it's chromed rather than silver. If it was silver, it would probably have corroded to quite a black colour, but it's because it's so shiny, I think it's chromed. But we'll give it a good clean and see whether it's got any marks on it. But it's a nice find. It's sort of, it's not issue kit. It's something a soldier would have bought and carried around, even an officer possibly. It's because it's quite a posh one. And you've got to shave even in a trench, because if you don't shave, your gas mask doesn't make a tight seal on your face, and if you get a gas attack you then die. So it isn't just for smartness, it's actually a safety measure as well, keeping clean shaven.
It's probably had a shell just in the corner here. I don't want to go any further into it. I think it's probably just a shell down here, Robert. Just come and have a look at it.
Alex halts work in his trench as a shell is uncovered. The archaeologists move to a safe distance while the safety officer investigates. It's a shrapnel shell, which is detonated after it has buried itself in the ground. The lead balls are lying beneath the shell casing.
How many units should there be?
150 or something like that. You cover dugouts. I mean, there is evidence for the French having very shallow dugouts.
We had strapping with screws in that looked, like on the end of a scaffolding plank.
Yeah.
We had bits of that was still buried in there because they were sticking out of the section. So we've got evidence of timber, some sort of timber shoring that's gone into the bottom.
Yeah. There is evidence that they were ordered not to use the shallow French dugouts because they were more dangerous than they were worth. So it could conceivably be one of those.
As in 1916, chicken wire will be used to revet the trenches. Martin's trench has given up an unusual find. Inside a corned beef tin, 5 live rounds. Perhaps a soldier had dropped a charger clip. The rounds had dropped out and he placed them in an empty tin, intending to reload but never had the chance. Was he killed or just moved on? We will never know. The Lee Enfield rifle is loaded with 5 rounds from a charger clip. These are placed into the clip and then the clip is pushed into the magazine.
We've got a buckle and some rivets from what they call 14 pattern leather equipment. The standard regular soldiers' webbing is made from, well, canvas webbing, but in 1914 they introduce a leather version of the equipment set, and a lot of the troops, the Kitchener Volunteers, the new army, wear the leather equipment. The Ulster division in particular would be part of that, so they'd probably have 14 pound equipment. Most of it's rotted away, but you can see around each of these rivets there's a tiny amount of leather, and those two are just as a little bit of leather holding them together. That's because while most of it, the leather will rot in the soil, the corrosion products of the brass rivets actually inhibits the bacteria that rots the leather, so where you've got metal parts like that you get areas of leather surviving with them, even where the rest of it's rotted away. So, but the thing about this stuff is it's quite unpopular, and soldiers, if they could get access to the webbing equipment, they would discard their 14 pound leather equipment and wear webbing equipment instead. So.
chicken wire is fine for size of trenches like this, but for the upper bits where it's looser, that XPM's far better as a revetting material.
Actually, that stuff is from the field, that different kind of field.
Yeah, so it's basically holes cut into a sheet of metal that's stretched, and if you've so it's expanded metal.
As the dugout in Alex Trench continues to expand, a bottle is found.
Oh, hold on. T310. Doesn't get us very much further.
The trench system continues to puzzle.
It's coming round to a point, isn't it? And then...
Just a bottle out there.
That brown. Nice, because it's not very mixed, is it?
So that pocket of soil goes underneath the chalk.
Yeah, but there's brown going around on the
Oh no, it's just that, I mean this is obviously solid, as long as they get around it, come around to there. The brown goes underneath. At that point, but this is much looser.
Well, it may be that that's a
Well,
big turning goes along that direction.
Started to hit the fill of the trench.
Yeah.
Cutting through the backfill dugout.
If that continues to turn around there.
You've got a load of chalk rubble here sitting on top of this brown, it's just whether the brown continues right underneath it.
Aha! Oh, Harrier bottle. Yeah. Very nice.
There he is.
Yeah. In fact,
Done?
Yep.
We do like that.
Yep.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, I mean it is the classic Perrier bottle shape, and then there's the trademark. It's got the bottle reproduced on the bottom.
But you can see, you have to imagine a stock coming down there. That's the trigger there. That's the magazine under there, and the rest of the rifle goes off in that direction. And there would normally be
Handle
a
should be
bolt
about there.
coming down there, where you open and close the breech like that. And that's the back of the bolt head, which has come, that's just open.
Yeah.
And then so that you pull it back to there and push it through again, and it'll come back to the front here again. And the barrel and everything is there. But the barrel is actually a separate assembly, separate piece of metal. Whereas this piece, what they call the receiver, is kind of all one. Well, there's several bits that slot into it, but this piece here and these pieces here are all one single piece, which is why it's all survived in a lump. You can see a bit of the wood just in there. It's all gone all very peaty and soft, but traces of the wood in there.
Yeah, that's the valve. Yeah.
Oh, right.
So you've basically got
Whole thing.
that,
Oh, wow.
which means that might be part of it as well.
Yeah, rubber stuff in it.
Yeah, well that rubber stuff is going to be part of the. Is all part of it. So. What's that?
No rubber. Well, whatever, you can put it through it.
It's a rubber face piece.
It is, isn't it? That is the face piece.
Because it's canvas covered rubber, isn't it? Or it looks like canvas covered rubber.
Yeah, but. Oh yeah, look, there's just the ghosts of the canvas there.
It's full.
See the weave?
Oh, yeah. It's got like buttons and and that's inside.
The misters.
Well, I was initially wondering whether it was the front from a German pattern.
Yeah, the front. Well, it actually could be a German pattern respirator.
Yeah. Well, yeah, given there's Germans in here in 18.
Yeah. It could be the canister.
Yeah.
If it is, I think that's the first canister we've had.
No, it's a McConaughey's tin.
Yeah.
What a shame.
Oh well.
Another find emerges from Alex Trench.
I'll see if I can get it out, if it's going to come. Doesn't appear to have any feet or anything in it, but there you go.
They were brown as well, branches, weren't they?
Mind you, by the time the leather's been buried, you can't tell what colour it was originally.
Best thing to do is look at the stud pattern.
No, it's got hobnails, just the very small ones. But it may well be, no, it may be British because the actual, you can see the heads of the hobnails, the stains, are actually bigger. Yeah, I think it may well be British. I think it's just lost the heads of the hobnails, which make the hobnails look a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Because you're just getting the shanks of the nails sticking out now. Nice.
Very green, isn't it?
Tin, but it's still got all its printing.
Oh, look at the res writing on it.
Oh, lovely.
That's true.
P-H-A-N-R-A-H-O-N. But it's made in England. When the... No, this is... No, I mean, I'm going to have to rub at it. I think I'd rather just have that dealt with. Not in the bottom of the trench, but there's enough writing on that to be able to tell what it is, I think.
Corned beef one was
It's not corned beef. I mean, a jolly tin like that, it ought to be something nice.
Yeah.
You know, steamed pudding or toffees. There. London, I think, is it?
Yeah.
And there was some further around.
That's the contents, because there's water.
Ah, yes, you're right.
When the tin when tin's open, probably consume within so many days.
Yeah. No, there's a little bottle there, look. One of these pickle bottles or whatever they are.
They're all there, where's that?
It's all here, it's just in three bits. Yeah, what it's, I mean, there's no embossing or anything on it to tell you what it is or whose it was. But that's a fairly recognisable form.
It's going back, as a...
Alex continues to search for the edge of the dugout.
But whether this stuff is still fill or if this is starting to be natural. But the problem is, it's still really voidy. So I think it is fill.
Just thinking in terms of following the edge.
Getting down to where we're in solid. It is separated from it, I mean that is solid in there.
Yeah. You want the trench out as well, do you?
Well, this is what I'm thinking. It might be the case that archaeologically
it should come out first.
It should come out first. Because it was built second. You should be able to identify the cut of that through the fill of this. Got quite clear chalk up there. What I reckon is if you take off the, down to this level.
Yeah.
Through there. Back to there.
Yep.
And initially just take off that top 18 inches.
Yep.
And then clean it. With a bit of luck we should get the line of the trench coming past, if it is. I was here having my lunch and just kind of staring idly at the trench wall. Suddenly noticed there's an area down there which is soil's altogether greyer, a different colour, and the chalk's very loose. And we've realised that what it is another trench heading out into no man's land in that direction. And what it is it's a sap that was dug prior to the 1st of July attack. And the point of it is that on 1st of July there's this myth that whistles blew and men climbed ladders and jumped over the top of the trench and all set off marching towards the Germans. Only 12 out of the 80 attacking divisions actually did that. The other 68 did something slightly more sensible. And in the case of the Ulster Division, what they did was they dug these trenches about 50 metres out into no man's land, crept along, lurked at the far end, and then at 7:30, on the sound of a bugle rather than a whistle, the bugle blew and they jumped out, and at that point they were right next to German wire and they only had a few yards left to go to get into the German frontline trench. And the result of that is that the attack here was a complete success initially. They captured the German line almost straight away. The unfortunate thing was that they weren't actually able to sustain the men in the German positions on the other side, because the attack on that side and the attack on the side over there both failed, so they were left in this sort of narrow salient, and eventually by the following morning, 2nd of July, they had to give up and come back. But this here is, as I say, one of those saps running out, built for that attack.
What we saw in the ground initially was just this that looked like a bent angle iron, of which there are one or two around here. But once it came out, excavated and turned over, you can see that it's a lid with a valve here, made of copper alloy with a hole in it, and it's the lid for a hay box. And there's just the remnants of a bit of seal on it here by the feel of it. The valve there, handle, and this is what they used to bring hot food up the trenches. We're sitting by a dugout. It's the sort of place that guys are struggling up the comms trenches with this to try and bring food into men who are actually up here. It's a really important artefact. I mean, not per se because it's rare or anything, but actually because absolutely utterly this tells a story of life in the trenches here and how morale is kept up, how men are supplied, how strength is kept up. And the morale thing, really, because although you can bring up any number of tins of corned beef, as we've been finding, any number of packets of biscuits, and there have been preserved biscuit from in the wood, actually people getting a big pan of stew turning up hot food is really, really important. So it's really nice. That's a really good thing.
In the fill of the dugout, the find to support the theory that this is a feature from the early years of the Great War.
They got it loose and it's a mess tin or something. Yeah, it's still got a handle. I suggest that is probably French.
Okay, well what we've got is a lid from a tin, and unusually, unlike most of the bits of tin, which look rather like this piece attached associated with it here, they're just bits of rust. This one's rather nice in that you can still see the paint on it, and it's got the writing still on it. So what we've done is cleaned round it. So I can see so far that it says on it is gift of the colonies. Quite what that gift was at the moment, I can't tell you. Now, so these sort of things, it could be chocolates, it could be cigarettes, dates, came in a nice tin.
Very well preserved.
It's nice to the other side actually, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there we are, lovely condition, that's the whole thing. Nothing written on the underside. Rather nice, I think it's, you know, there's a globe or something in the middle with leaves around it. The sort of olive branches around the UN logo. But there we are, that's the thing. So, gift of the COLON to His Majesty's, but it'll clean up and that'll be lovely. So yeah, well done, nice one.
There should be a line visible.
Yeah, it should.
There was yesterday. Across there.
Yeah.
And then you've got an edge probably there, going out to the corner there, and then up there.
You think that is fill of the trench?
I think that's the edge coming down across there.
That's it there.
Because we've got such a distinct line down through there, you see.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it matches up to there, to that quite solid chalk there. We took it down that way, and then there's lots of fill in there, and then it comes onto this, the brown there.
I think that they filled this thing in entirely before they've ever dug that trench. And so that trench is cut through the fill of this, and that's why we've got pickets in here, and we've got pickets down there where they've had nice solid chalk all the way along, and they've suddenly hit a load of loose, and they've had to revet it there, and then they haven't bothered revetting once they hit back into the good chalk again.
If we could find a map similar to the one that we have for the other side of the river, with all the trench mortar positions, the dumps, RAPs, all that sort of stuff. We could find one for here, we'd probably be home and dry. It would probably show this as being a mortar position or something, and there being an ammunition store on the site of that crater and all the rest of it. Unfortunately, we haven't found one of those yet. They may exist, but just not. Possibly.
There's a good chance, I think, that ammo dump probably has something to do with the filling in of that as well.
Possible.
I'd be interested to check.
We need to know the dating of the explosion of the ammo dump, for which we have no evidence at all, do we? If that's within the British period, I'm sure that must be on some war diary somewhere.
Not the first thing this morning is a pot for shaving cream. Then James has just produced a cutthroat razor as well from the bottom there just nearby.
The sandbagging and revetting work continues in Steve's trench. Dan has cleared part of the sap and found a small metal object.
Yeah, any number of items come with those, but it's always almost universally ammunition.
Just a locking thing from an ammunition box. And we have had a lot of rounds out in charges that are on fire.
Yeah. Still a puzzle, Alex seeks opinions on the latest feature in his trench.
It's a very shallow trench, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
This is the fill of this. So there's your cut for that, isn't it? Yeah. This.
But then what's the relationship here between those?
Probably the easiest way.
That is interesting. Gosh. It's your phone stick sticking into here. Oh! Ah! It's not just digging a deeper hole to lay the cables in, is it?
Could be, couldn't it?
Could be. It's the right sort of size.
It's just a cable trench. I think they've probably just laid them on the bottom.
Well, I thought so. I thought so as well, but you never know.
I mean, are you suggesting that we've got a cable trench? Could have a cable trench going that way, and maybe something else happening over here, because you're not. Although
you've got a really good edge there.
Yeah.
Far too small to be anything else.
But there's nowhere else that this can go. Is that right? Unless it goes out past the wheelbarrow somewhere. But we haven't found much evidence of telephone cables in here. I mean, they've been.
But it's just a theory.
Will a second opinion support Martin's theory?
I'm happy that thing is coming around there.
Yeah.
That thing there is that. Yeah. This stuff that's in all blobs. Oh, it's a sandbag. It's about the right length. It's all different colours. This mixed material in here that's all in little pockets of different colours. Yeah, sandbags. Reasonable. Because they've cut the solid chalk, all fine. They've hit the soft fill of this thing, so they've had to bag across the end of it. So all these blobs are different fills of sandbags. And that's about sandbag width. And you've got the revetting actually retaining the sandbags.
Yeah, you're a genius, dude.
And then that's the cut.
That's why I use the
very back edge of the trench. And so from there to there is sandbags. The trench is going around the corner like that, traversing at this point.
Yeah.
With the archaeology almost complete and the rain beginning to fall, there are drawings to be made, survey results to be plotted, and reconstruction of the revetments to be completed.
The wood will be formally opened on 1st of July 2006, so the 90th anniversary of the battle. But that doesn't mean an end to things by any means. There's still a plan to continue to come out and dig other bits and pieces. In some cases we may just dig things and fill them in once we've understood them. In other cases, for example around here, it may be that we dig more chunks of these trenches and connect it all up, and in 10 years I'll be stood here surrounded by sandbags in all directions.
The way that the wood's going to work, people won't be able to get in on their own. They're going to have to go up to the visitor centre, and the keeper of the centre in the tower will come down and do tours around the trenches, explain what's going on and try to explain what happened to the Ulster Division in particular with the visitor centre here at the tower. And to complement that, the Somme Heritage Centre in Northern Ireland in Newtownards is a visitor centre and a museum, and it tries to tell a story of Irish participation in the First World War from a cross-community perspective.
So you come up here for 2 or 3 days, you were in your uniform and you didn't get your uniform off while you were up here. If you got wet the day you came up, you were wet the rest of the time, or you dried out in your clothes. Don't forget, when you come up here for your 2 or 3 days, this is the little area trench that you're going to live in. You spent your time down in that trench. Now I showed you where the Germans were. They're not very far away. They're just across there. They can see down into your trench. So pop your head up here for just a second and bang. And it could be your friend, it could be your mate right beside you, and quietly he would just sink to the ground. The battle trenches are all running that way, right, facing the enemy. To get the soldiers up and down safely from the back area, from the rest areas or from their billet areas, they used what were called communication trenches. They're not as wide as the battle trenches, and they're all running this way through the wood. This one is actually a full kilometre long, right down to brigade headquarters at the bottom of the wood.
What we've got here is evidence of that British and French changeover and how we've got phasing within the wood. Because I think some people think we come out here, we do First World War archaeology, we dig out the trenches arrive and they are set. Well, they're not. They're constantly being adapted and altered as the war changes and as weapons improve. The story seems to be that the French put a cut and cover dugout in here. So by that, what I mean is they dug a hole, they revetted it, put boarding in, various layers, and then covered the soil back on top. Now, that seems pretty sensible until you realise that unless you went particularly deep, or deeper than you would want to, digging a hole from the top down, shells will come in and they'll punch holes in that and they'll kill you all, or they'll knock the roof in on top of you. So when the British arrived, we think, what they did was to just fill this, collapse it and fill it. And interestingly, one of the things we could see is lines of slumped soil, where the whole thing just appears to have possibly been blown and just the roof's just slumped. The British commander decides to put a trench in here, his second line, and his men start digging. And as they do, it's all fine, they're digging into the chalk, chalk's very good, you get good edge definition, it's nice and solid, and then suddenly they hit all this spongy soft stuff here that spills back out again. So they look at it and they go, oh, what are we going to do about that? Well, we're going to have to revet it, batter it back. And so they put in those angle posts, which are actually in situ from the Great War. So they carry on digging and they get round here and it does it again. And this time they think, oh, well, we'll use sandbagging. And how do I know they use sandbagging? Well, because I'll leak down. See these mixed fills? It's called mixed fills, different colours of soil. Those are sandbag fills. So there's been a sandbag wall here. This is, as you might possibly be aware, a battlefield, and it's heavily shelled. And so that's the other thing that's going on. If you look at the face here, we've got this rather nice step with a nice, sharp, clean angle coming down the chalk here with all sorts of grey stuff in it, just pressed down into the chalk, and that's where a shell's gone off. The shell's landed, coming that way, the blast has gone out that way, and it's blown this massive chalk out, and then it's refilled with disturbed chalk rubble. So when we arrived initially, you could see the hollow of the trench coming through. Looks like it's going to be nice and straightforward. Turned into a real piece of archaeology where you actually have to start thinking about what does the soil tell us? What's the phasing? What's the stratigraphy? The stratigraphy is where you've got all your layers doing different things, one on top of the other. It's like a cake or a trifle. Whether it was a dugout people lived in or whether it was a weapons pit, I cannot tell you. It may have been a trench mortar pit, because it's in just the right place for hoying mortar rounds across at the Germans over there spoiling their dinner, upsetting them, and generally just causing bits of damage like this that they have to repair. It ties them up, it tires them out. It just makes life a little bit less easy for them. There's no great strategic point in doing it unless you're using lots of them. But every now and again, just you know what time they all stop doing things to stop and have a meal, so you wait until it goes quiet. You'll have a round over. It might tell everybody's plates of stew full of chalk rubble. It's just about wearing them down. All the trenches have names. This is the Dickweed Reserve Trench, and the names are so that you can navigate. Because basically, if you're down where Paula is, the view. What can you see, Paula?
Sky, trees.
Basically, the view that Paula's got as the Great War infantry soldier is the sides of the trench, the sandbags, the soil of the parapets, and the sky. So it's not easy to navigate without knowing what the trench names are and how to get places. And we've had some very, very nice finds in here. One that came out yesterday was the lid from a tin of chocolates. And when we were able to scrape away some of the dirt, it said on it, "A gift of the colonies of Trinidad, Grenada and St. Lucia to His Majesty's Military and Naval Forces." So we thought, oh, that's nice. I wonder what's in it. So we scraped away the other side of the half the lid, and it said, chocolate made with cocoa, grown from beans grown on the island of Grenada. Now, people talk about the Great War, and they also talk about the First World War. And that tin, with its little message on it to our brave boys in the trenches, makes the point that it is a world war. Because Britain, France, Germany, Russia are all empires. And so, even if you don't have soldiers from some of those places in these trenches, there is food coming in, there are connections all around the world.